This is cs952 Introduction to Web Technology and Design, and we're going to cover some key concepts for this class. Now there's a PDF with pretty much the same material that I'm talking about right now. If you go to the etudes website, there's a PDF about the key concepts, but I'm just going to run through these notes and maybe we'll look at a few examples with Dreamweaver. So there's some key concepts you should understand to help you build a website with Dreamweaver CC and Bootstrap 3. Now the first is HTML5 and CSS3. HTML5, which from here on out we're just going to call HTML, and CSS3, which we're just going to call CSS3. Now they're the two main kinds of code that we use to build our website. HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, is the basic structure of our web page. So when we're adding in tables, forms, video, we're working with HTML. I'm going to switch over here to Code View. If I switch to Code View in Dreamweaver, all of this code that you're looking at, this is HTML5. So if we decide to add a heading to the top of our page, we're going to use the HTML heading tag. Now the other kind of code that we're going to be working with is CSS. We use CSS to change the appearance of our web page. So when we talk about the size or the color of our text, the kind of borders we put around content, background colors, maybe a background image, then we're working with CSS. So HTML, that's the content of our page, and CSS, that's the appearance of our page. CSS is a combination of selectors and rules. So we decide how we're going to select something, and then what are going to be the rules that we use. For example, if I added in a special announcement at the top of the page, I might create a selector called Special Announcement. And then I create a rule that says Special Announcement, the font size is bold, it's twice as large as it normally is, and let's make the color of the text red. So we use the HTML to actually create the headline, and then we use the CSS to change the appearance of the headline. Now when we talk about CSS, there's two big important concepts that we want to review, and that is, let's scroll down here, classes and IDs. Every week we're going to be talking about classes and IDs. So classes and IDs are used to organize our rules, and we're also going to use it a little bit later on to target our JavaScript. Now classes are used for multiple elements, things that are the same. IDs are used for single elements. So for example, if I'm going to switch back to live view here. Now my menu buttons here at the top in my navigation, they all look the same, whether it's gallery or FAQ or whatever. They all look the same because they're all members of the same class. Whereas my headline down here, the humble pencil, it looks different than anything else on the page. It has an ID. So classes we use when we have multiple things that we want to look the same. IDs when we have one thing that we want to single out. The next important concept that we're going to be covering in this class are frameworks. So we're going to be using the Bootstrap 3 framework to build our website. And right now, Bootstrap 3 is probably, hands down, the most popular framework for creating a modern website. Bootstrap 3 was actually a project developed by the folks at Twitter. And Twitter's responsible for maintaining the Bootstrap 3 code. And basically, when we talk about Bootstrap, and when we talk about frameworks, we're referring to a collection of web code that we can use to speed up and assist the process of building our website. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So in this class, we'll be using Bootstrap 3 to help us make websites that are responsive, because Bootstrap already has that code written for us. We're just going to learn the rules that we have to follow in Bootstrap and apply these rules, and we've got a responsive website. Bootstrap also has a lot of other styling that kind of generally makes everything look good, and Bootstrap has a lot of built-in components like an image carousel. So you can see one image and then it's going to slide and show another image, then slide and show another image. So that's what a framework is. Another framework we're going to be using is jQuery. jQuery is a big collection of JavaScript code that's already been written for us. We don't have to learn JavaScript in order to use it. jQuery, again, it's a collection of code already put together to kind of help us speed through this process. Now with Dreamweaver, we've got 3 different views. Let's have a look at our PDF real quick. Scroll on down here. Talked about frameworks. Dreamweaver, 3 different views: Live View, Design View, and Code View. Again, every week we're going to be covering these concepts, but I wanted to introduce you to them right at the beginning of the class. In Code View, we can edit our web code directly. I'm going to switch over here to Code View. We can see this is, again, we're looking at our HTML. In Code View, we edit the code directly. There's no restrictions to what we can do in Code View, which makes Code View very powerful, but can also be dangerous because you can inadvertently delete some code that you don't want to, or make a change that will break your code. But Code View is great because we can get right into the heart of our code, and if there's something we want to target specifically, Code View sometimes is the fastest way to make a change. Live View, I'm going to switch on this tab and go to Live View. Live View is the latest addition to Dreamweaver. Now Live View shows us pretty much what our website's going to look like when we're viewing it online. But there's very limited editing that we can do in Live View. So Code View, we can edit anything we want. With Live View, our editing is very limited. But of course, Live View is very helpful because we can see what our web page looks like. Between these 2 views, we have Design View. We're not going to be using Design View a lot. Design View in this class is very helpful when we need to edit text. That is the best part about using Design View, is you can really get in there, paste in text, type text, edit paragraphs. That is very difficult to do in Live View. You can try to do it in Live View, but it's much easier to do in Design View. So those are the 3 main views we're going to be working with when we get into Dreamweaver: Live View, Design View, and Code View. And finally, let's talk about what this process is going to be for building a website. So we divide our web design process into 3 phases: creating, previewing, and publishing. We're going to do this for everything we do in our class. So when we create our web pages in Dreamweaver, we want to first we go to Dreamweaver and we begin our creation process. And we add in code, we add in images, we get everything like we want it. Dreamweaver gives us a pretty good idea of what our web page is going to look like when we see it online. Like right here, I'm in Live View. It's pretty darn close. Now, once we've reached the point to where we're pretty happy with it in Dreamweaver, we're going to preview our web page on our local computer, on our local browser. So down here in the corner, I'm going to choose Preview in Google Chrome, or you can press F12. We're going to be doing this a whole lot, and it opens the web page up in our local browser. Now this is the actual web browser, Google or Chrome or Safari or whatever you happen to use. This shows us what it's actually going to look like when it's viewed through a browser. Once we've got it looking good here, and we think, okay, this is what we're aiming for, our last step is to publish it. And when we publish our website, that's when we actually upload it onto our remote server, and then rather than viewing it on our local computer, we're going to type in that web address. We always want to check our websites once we've got them up there and onloaded. We want to check them on a variety of devices, particularly if you have a smartphone or a mobile phone. Check to see what your website looks like when you're viewing it on a mobile device. We'll be able to check these things in Dreamweaver. If I go back to Dreamweaver and I can drag my Live View scrubber, and you'll see that when we get to our mobile view, our navigation changes, because this is what the website would look like if we were using it on a mobile device. We'd have a drop-down menu. But those are the key concepts that we're going to be covering here, and the next thing we're going to do is really get started with learning a little bit about the basic Dreamweaver interface, and then jump right into building our website.